Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another great episode number 5. Yes, we are ready to go. That means we, you, and everyone else in Hollywood. Everyone in Hollywood, hey, if it's your first time tuning in, welcome. Your boy Rico No Suave, and ready to go on this magazine interview series with each and every one of you guys. And if it's your first time tuning in, let me tell you a little bit about why I'm having you guys tuning in. We have influencers, we have models, we have actors, we have actresses, we have musicians, we have everybody in the entertainment industry for you guys to enjoy yourself on my interview series. So I want you guys to make sure that you go ahead and share this video because we're live on YouTube as well as on Facebook. So if you're actually on either one of those platforms, make sure you go ahead and actually subscribe, or you can actually share right now. All right, everybody, you already know I got my 25 minutes of fame because I got to introduce this gentleman, and I'm so happy that he is actually on my show today. This gentleman has been leading the schooling industry in regards to being a great educator. He also is a talk show host, kind of like me, but I love the way that he brings his conversations as far as to his guests, everyone. And also, he is a public speaker. He speaks in front of thousands of people to be able to get his point across, to be able to connect with great people. I want you guys to stand up, read a book, take some notes, everybody, because I have my man. I'm about to bring him in. My man, Marc Hoberman. Let's go. Marc, are you there?
I am here, Rico. Thank you for having me.
Sir, it is an honor to have you back with me again because I know we've been friends ever since I interviewed the first time. And
absolutely. I know this is episode number 5. That means 4 people were before me, so I'm about to sign off. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay anyway. 5 is better than 6, so I'm good.
Yeah, you're part of my good. You're part of my good series. You're part of my good series.
Honored.
Marc, it's a pleasure to actually have you here, but we're going to get right into it because you have a plethora of things that you have done for the world to see. So the first thing, let's talk about the school training. Let's talk about how you got started as an educator. Take us through that process.
Sure. So I applied for a job in 1986 in the Bronx, New York. They had some openings for teachers, and it's interesting. I always said I want to be when I was a kid, I want to be an educator. If I ever win the lottery or something like that, or inherit a lot of money, then I will become a teacher. And none of those things happened, but I became a teacher anyway. And the universe just aligns sometimes, and I got the job in the Bronx, and I taught for one day. There were bars on the windows. Sometimes I think that was to keep the teachers in because it was a tough first day and chairs were flying. And I said, hey, I will do this till Friday because my friend recommended me. And then Friday I'll leave and I'll do something else. And Thursday during lunch, I went in that first day and played basketball with some of the students. And they said hello in the hallway. And I said, okay, one more day, Friday. And then I blinked and it was 32 years.
Wow.
I was an English teacher for 32 years, taught SAT courses and creative writing and things of that nature. So I always had the educator, I guess, in me. Yes. But I was just blessed that I went down that path because you really have to have a passion for it. And I did, and I still do.
I like that because, you were put on this earth to be able to lead, to be able to help people, to be able to educate them to take down that right path. Now, in regards to you being an educator, you do something with great success, if I'm not mistaken. Can you tell us a little bit about, that company itself and what do you do for the youth as well as adults?
Great question. So Great Success has a couple different facets. It started as an SAT, ACT prep tutoring service, which is what I still do to this day. And I have tutors who work for me. But then it became other subjects because people liked our services. Everything is a growth, as you know, Rico. So then it came into other subjects. And then I decided to do Great Success staff training. I had a big camp background, worked in camps and did some work in sleepaway camps also in training the counselors and even the upper staff, specialist group leaders, what have you. And so grade success education is all about academics for high school kids, all subjects, SAT and ACT prep, as I said, also assisting with the college essay, things of that nature. And I have separate speed reading courses and study skills courses. So that's the education end. But then there's also the training end, which, as you said, is for adults also. When I go in, even to schools, even if it's study skills for kids, I bring their parents in at night. I also teach the teachers how to impart those study skills strategies after school in the daytime. So it's bringing in the entire school community. And there's corporate training as well. But when it comes to camp, it's, look, anti-bullying training that I do. When I go to corporate, that 45-year-old manager is the same bully he was when he was 11. He's just got a little bit of a bigger belly, and he's got employees working under him. So, the more things change, the more they stay the same. So, so education to me is not just academic, and that's how it spawned, the training mechanism of the company.
That's a really good point, that when it comes to great success, because everything is moving towards A+, right? When you talk about A+ in regards to how people continue to, how you as a teacher, as a leader, to be able to help people to get to that level, they might start off as being an F, right? Because they didn't have that training. And then you start getting into that D+, then you C+, and then B+, and then you go to A+, right? So that greater success, I think you take them through those levels. And I know everyone's different when it comes to learning. How difficult is it as a teacher, when you're tutoring or you're getting people prepared for these tests to be able to pass? What is that process like for, let's start off with the youth, because I know the adults can be different as well.
Well, I have to tell you that it's not always easy. I started in the Bronx, and then I went to Rockland County, New York. And I'm a very selfish teacher. And I say this the first day as a behavior modification mechanism. Listen, guys, I'm selfish. If I'm not having fun, you guys are going to pay the price, because it means someone's messing around, not paying attention. And I want to be able to enjoy myself as well. So it's not easy, but I have to tell you, and I remember this when I took piano lessons, and my sons, I said to the piano teacher, I said, must be amazing. You come in and I know 3 notes, and 3 years later, I'm playing a song, and that's only because of you.
Yeah.
So, when I have somebody coming in and not knowing something about literature, or when I did an SAT course, being unable to do something and know that they got there because of me, it's not a bragging thing. It's an accomplishment aspect of what I do. So it's really not easy, but I love working with young people. I love then the teaching went to adults, for example, but it's really the education, academic or otherwise, that really seems to be my wheelhouse, and it floats my boat. That's what I really, really love to do.
Speaking of floating boats, the one thing that I love to do is fish, right? And my father took me fishing when I was little. And talking about learning, right? Talking about learning and understanding and being repetitive. When I was little, I was 7 years old. I I had my stick, and then I had the string around it. I had my hook, and I had a weight, and then I had the bobber, right? The bobber. So my father told me, he said, hey, in order for you to become a great fisherman, you have to learn how to do things manually first before things start becoming automatic for you. And I said, okay, Dad. I said, well, Papa, how do I throw this in the water? He said, hey, you know what? Take that little weight at the end, which was a rock. It was a rock. And he said, I want you to throw it as hard as you can, and then you're going to see if you're going to be able to get a fish. I said, okay. Well, how long do I wait? He said, as soon as you see that bobber goes down, you have to pay attention to that. And I said, I have to stare at that little bobber all this time? He's like, yes, you got to stare at that bobber. If that bobber goes down, you have a bite. That means that the fish is there biting. But as far as what you're doing, you're actually throwing them in to be able to guide them to pay attention. If they don't pay attention, they miss the opportunity to be able to become successful. And that's what I like about what you do, because even with the bullying piece, people need to be with you to help them understand that, hey, I threw that out, but I'm not paying attention. Marc, how can you help me to pay attention in order for me to be able to say, hey, you're making me the best version of myself when it happens? So when it comes to psychological pieces, everybody's different. How do you handle that when it comes to patients? Number one, that's the key. How do you handle that when it comes from a psychological standpoint as far as with patients, with your students?
Well, so first of all, when it comes to patients, you are interviewing the wrong person. That's number one. So unless you want to interview somebody with no patience, I'm your guy. So I love the fishing analogy because it speaks to something we call scaffolding. It's starting with one thing, adding another, adding another. The first 50 times I went fishing, it was with my father, and I didn't know what a rod reel was. I only used the drop line, which is sort of what you said. And then I saw someone with a fishing pole. I was like, what the heck is that? And then you do that, and it was easier and harder, if that makes sense, because you're not used to something. It's something new. So I was already also with a population for many years in my full-time teaching job, not necessarily for my tutoring business, where many of the kids could not afford tutoring services. So I knew that I was the lesson and I was the review. They had babysitting to do after school. They had to watch younger siblings. They had to work and help the family out. So I knew it was all me. So as far as the patience is, I have patience for people who are slow learners or don't get it right away. And if they get it right away, I go to the next level. What I don't have patience for, which kind of became my specialty is teaching classroom management, is if you're not getting it because you're talking while I'm teaching it, Houston, we have a problem. So that is the issue.
Come on, man. Oh my God. You know, it's so funny that you say that because I'm like that with my dance class. I teach salsa, of course. And the same concept. I don't like people be talking in my class because it's a disrespect to you of you trying to help them learn, right? Oh my God. Do you have a technique? What is your technique to be able to keep them from talking in your class?
I've been told that, I think I have a decent sense of humor and I use that, but I have to tell you that there's nobody smarter than kids. Students will know, I don't care if it's first grade or 11th grade, they will know if the teacher is authentic and likes them and knows his or her stuff 3 months before the principal will know it, because they're in your school, your class every single day. And they can smell BS a mile away and they will test you. And the sense of humor helps. But the truth is, I absolutely positively want to be there. My father always said the old saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. So I loved it. I went to the school plays. I played basketball and I'm not good. I played basketball against them. I went to see them perform in gymnastics and all the sports things that they did. So I really love it. So my technique is, it's like a poker game. I'm all in. And that served me really well throughout a 32-year career.
My man, I congratulate you, man, like always, because I love what you do. And I give big shout out to all of the teachers that's out there that's doing great things for the right reasons, right? And, you got some teachers out there that's doing it just for the money, but they forget about the kids sometimes. But I like the way your path is in regards to, especially with SATs and things like that, kids that drop out of school, they need that to be able to move forward, whatever that they're actually trying to do in their career path, right? Because you give them something of a certificate or the SAT and they pass that, or you prepare them for that. They pass it. The credit comes to you, sir, as being that leader. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You know what I want to talk about next?
Go ahead. Well, wait a second. I want to point out that I've only heard one person clap. So am I supposed to feel bad? You could add an applause track like I Love Lucy or something the next show. When I come in this number 57, I want that applause track. So if you want to ask me next, you ask me.
I gotta add that. I gotta add that to my list. I gotta add the clip. I gotta
get some clapping. Come on, man. I need some positive reinforcement down here.
Well, we got one person in the comments that's actually chatting, and that's Sammy Ortiz, and we got Beatrice checking in as well too. So Beatrice checking in
Beatrice,
as well.
Good girl.
Let's talk about public speaking, right? Public speaking, of course, is something that we both do, right? And it's good to be able to be in front of people. When was if you remember, your first gig that you actually did public speaking, and what was it about? And also, how many people was in the audience?
Interesting. So first of all, I consider my teaching career public speaking, and I'm telling you, and I hope people who are scared understand that this is no lie. There are two things that people fear the most in this order: death and public speaking. And I'm not going to lie to you that I was in college in SUNY Albany, And I was in a class, and there were 40 kids, and it was before the drop ad. And the teacher just looked down, and the professor, said, "Oh, our first paper is going to be 10 pages long." And I had a cough. I was coughing at that time, but I have an old man cough, even at the age of 19, an old man cough. So I tried to stifle it, but instead of it came out, but 90 times louder than that. All 39 other eyes were on me. And I dropped the course and took it again the next semester. I was not walking back in that room, having those people look at me. I mean, I didn't want to go to the bathroom as a student, knowing that when you open the door during the lesson, everybody looks at you. So the last thing on my mind was public speaking. It really was. And I had to speak once in front of the staff in the Bronx. And unfortunately, before they introduced me, they had to tell the news of a teacher whose relative had been in a bad car accident, and then, okay, Marc, you're on. So,
wow.
The timing was awful. And that, to me, besides teaching, was the first public speaking. And I wouldn't say I bombed. I wasn't good enough to bomb, but I'd have to work my way up to bombing. But then, quite honestly, let's go decades back. I was diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of 16 and a half and told nobody until I was 54.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, when I was 54, I only 9 people knew, and 5 of them were doctors. And I finally said, after my son had some health issues, if my story can help my wife feel better about this and make my son feel better. A book like mine, my memoir, if it existed when I was diagnosed, my parents would have fared better. They did well medically. They did very bad emotionally with it. So I said, hey, I have no choice. I'm a teacher. I'm in front of 30 people. And then it became, the first one was like 300 at my old high school. And then it was different classes of health students. But, I've been in front of 500, 600 people doing that. And that's before the training, which I did after that as well. But that was a big deal. So that's what started me. I was kind of thrust into it. And it wasn't this whole big magnanimous thing, let me change the world. There are people hurting out there. Yes. How can I be a teacher? Rico, back in the day, there were no HIPAA laws. We had cards on kids. If they had a mosquito bite, it was in their record. So I had kids who were in my tin can. I took out the folder, and they were epileptics, and they were on the same medication I was. This is back 37, almost 40 years ago. And they were on the same medication as I was. Their gums were bleeding because they were on Dilantin. My gums were bleeding because I was on Dilantin. And I was a teacher, and I didn't take the kid at that time aside and say, yo, I know what you're going through. I got the same thing because I saw it as a weakness. Now, that's okay for a 15-year-old, but not for a 26, 27-year-old. So I had some lost time to make up for it. So if I can go out and help people, and especially in a time today where I would never want to be a teenager today, it's very rough. So I was kind of thrust upon it.
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful, an inspiration path really helps, because you being, diagnosed with kind of I wouldn't say kind of an illness where you were able to control that for so long, but you controlled it on a number one thing. It was silence. Right. You silenced that for quite some time, and you kept that within yourself because you didn't want people to look at you differently. I think that's kind of the one thing. When people know that you have an illness, they kind of look at you with, not saying that they're concerned or they don't have care for you, but it's just a different mindset of that. And like, well, we got to make sure we take care of Marc, whatever he comes in. No, it's that he knows how to silence that. He knows how to control that. He knows the way that he needs to be able to move forward to be successful, and that won't be in his way. Right. And I think that inspiration of your story itself in public speaking, to be able to, you said death. And when you talked about death and then you talked about public speaking, public speaking tends to feel like you're in a bathroom, you're hyping yourself up. You're like, okay, I got to get this going because I do not want to bomb. As soon as you come out and they say, Marc, Hoberman, you get like 500 people start clapping to you at once. You have to act like you have no issues in life whatsoever, and you have to move forward, because at the end of the day, those 500 people is the ones that you want to touch. It might be 2 or 3 people that probably won't either agree with you or they're not like involved with you. But I would have to say, out of those 500 people, you want at least 95% of those people to connect with you to go all the way. So I'm totally with you, man, on that public speaking. It's a beautiful thing. What's your passion behind that? What's the passion behind public speaking? What do you look for in public speaking?
Well, it's really public speaking and motivational speaking is really a misnomer. When I come out, be it on stage or in a classroom, I'm a public speaker. If I did what I was supposed to do, then I was a motivational speaker. But it's not
Mm,
my decision to be a motivational speaker. It was the audience's, it's the participants. Did they think I was a motivational speaker? And that, quite honestly, sets me apart when I do training in corporate, for example, because I'm always going to be an educator first and a businessman second.
yes, sir.
So if you leave and say that was funny or that made me, and hopefully, I have made people laugh and cry. Thank God when they were supposed to. uh, but when they leave, if they can take anything that I discussed, suggestions I made, talking from my heartfelt experience, that's the win. And
Yeah.
I want them to be able to apply it not in 6 months, 6 seconds. When they leave the auditorium, leave
Yes.
the boardroom, I want to be
Yes.
able to take those things. If they leave and say the guy was funny, that's okay,
Yeah.
but I wasn't doing a comedy routine. Or wow, that guy really made me emotional. Wonderful. But can
Yeah.
you improve your life,
Yes.
either academically or otherwise, after having me present? That's the passion behind that. It's the teaching.
My man. I feel it in the blood, baby. I
Feel
feel
me?
it in the
Feel me?
blood.
Feel me?
Man, I feel you.
Awesome.
Man, public speaking, man, and we're going to get to the next question, but public speaking is such an awesome thing. I do it when I do weddings. When I do weddings and I'm the MC, and nobody really knows me unless it was a referral, right? But nobody really knows me. And one thing is always about connecting with people, making sure that you look them eye to eye, who's ever in front or who's ever in the back, you're trying to look directly at them to make that connection. And that's what I always learn, or I learned over time. And I think for you, you're in that same boat. You connect with your people. I mean, people love the great success, A+ service I'm sure that you give them. And it's good because if you were cracking a joke, and it wasn't a joke, they actually had flashbacks of something of what you said that made them laugh in that, right? So, and then the crying piece, that's emotional. That means you touched their heart. You touched them really good. So I commend you of that. Sir.
Thank you. And I will just add this, that also, and I do a lot of virtual work also, but
Okay.
Connection is not easy, and it's made easier when it's not just a one and done. I don't necessarily like a hit and run. So I'll sometimes do a presentation, then come in 2 months later, just the 30 kids out of the 300 or something on Zoom in their class, and vice versa, because connection is important. But I know as a teacher that sometimes I can connect better with a student in 10 minutes than the teacher, because they have 32 people in front of them, or 25, whatever the number is, and they have to get through that curriculum.
Yes.
So they don't have the luxury, nor did I as a teacher. And I tried to connect with kids, and I still have friendships with students who are now in their 40s. And I even interviewed some of them who have really become very successful in life. But it's not so easy to make that connection because there's other things at play, especially on the teaching end. So I really feel blessed and honored kind of being able to cheat and make that connection, because I'm not preparing them for a standardized test or a state exam at the end of the year where my paycheck or my performance as far as the principal is concerned is going to be based on that. So, but that's the connection is the magic word. And you have to really, as you know, if 380 people are listening and 7 are on their cell phones and stuff, I sometimes have a problem with that, but you really got to focus on, hey, these are teenagers. And if you got 2 looking at you, you started off winning.
Yeah, I know. Sure. I know how it feels, because when you're in front of people, you want the whole room. You want to connect with the whole room. But that's us being perfectionists, right? That's us making sure that we're trying to make this event or whatever that we're doing a positive aspect. And of course, we're going to get people that's going to hate on us. They're going to get people that don't like what we do. But that's part of us being a perfectionist. We're going to be loved by many. We want to be loved by many, hated by few, right? And I think that's what public speaking is all about in regards to things that we do. All right, we got to get to the last one, baby. We got to get to the last one, because the talk show, this is what we love to actually do. Tell us about your talk show. Tell me in regards to who you had on your talk show and why you like being a talk show host.
Sure. So it started off with lighting the educational flame, and it had an educational spin, but it wasn't academic. But it was more about people being their authentic selves and how did they get where they got, things of that nature. And I had, politicians on, authors, educators, and then it morphed into life stories with Marc Hoberman because I started to love it more than I wanted to. Actually, Beatrice, who checked in earlier, wanted me to do the show visually, and I said not happening 2 or 3 times, and then I started to love it. So it morphed into the other show. So one is Lighting the Educational Flame on E360 TV, Roku, and the like. But then it morphed into Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. And I've had TV Hercules, Kevin Sorbo, Tova Feldshuh from Broadway and Law and Order. I've had athletes, Dave Stewart. And I've had just, and then people, it's not just about the fame. I've had artists that some people never heard of them, but I'm about the story, not just the glory. So I'm not really Hollywood-ish so much. I'm really more about being authentic. And I want people viewing to see how the people got this way. It's not all about the millions. It's about how many rejections did you have? And I hear stories that at the end I said, and you still wanted to be an actor? What are you, a moron? And they persevere, and it's very difficult. And I've been waited on by people who want to become actors in Hollywood and elsewhere. And it's just about even the athletes and how many times they were cut from teams and how they had to work out harder and things of that nature. So the educator in me brings out the life story of the person, and I delve a little bit deeper than some other shows, even my Lighting the Educational Flame show. So that's the show. Life Stories of Marc Hoberman is on U2 America. That network has over 41 million viewers. I'm also on a couple of E360 just picked us up, and also very happy to announce that AMG Media out of Canada picked us up as a distributor, and that's led by Mark Esperi and his partner Dwayne Farley, and they're just doing a great job getting ready to really put this out there. It's an honor that they believe in the show, but I'm only as good as my last guest.
Yeah, I like that. And the one thing about that is that you take pride in regards to people's journey, and that's love, because you bring people's journey out as let them be themselves. And I think it's just a normal conversation, but it starts into a conversation of how did you get there, right? We know that you're there already. That's why you're coming on the show, but everybody to know who you are. But some people that don't know who you are might have the same path that you may have been going through, and you might educate them, per se, in regards to actually helping them through their trials and tribulations, and things and suffering as well. So it's very, very, very important that that you're doing this talk show, right? It's so good to talk show host to talk show host in regards to knowing how we connect with great people that's out there. So that's awesome.
And just to add, I'm sorry, Rico, just to add that Life Stories with Marc Hoberman, we have our own YouTube channel, as well as Lighting the Educational Flame. We have a YouTube channel there as well. The networks, E360 TV and whatnot. But the greatest honor is being on the other end and having you as the interviewer, because we connected after the first show we did together, and it's just great. And I think that what we do is very important. And selfishly or not, I honor the guests, I respect the guests, but I'm doing the show for the viewers. I want them. I'm an educator at heart, so I want them to learn, get strategies, know they're not alone, and get ready to take that next step and learn from others.
That's an inspiration. That's what it's all about. We inspire people to move forward, to go forward, to also understand their past too, right? Understand their past in regards to how to get there so they can actually stay humble, right? As well. So we got a comment I got to read off real quick. It's by MK, right? EMKAY. She says, I'm taking speech classes in college right now. This is amazing. Thanks for sharing all of these nuggets. So, nuggets are good. I like chicken nuggets. I like chicken nuggets too.
I like gold nuggets.
I like gold. Right. Thank you guys so much for actually conversating as far as with us in the comments. But man, I got 1 minute left. 1 minute left. We're going to go out with a bang. Tell me, in regards to, we already know how you actually make the world better, but what can you do to make it even better besides what you're doing right now? Go.
I think that if people can understand and take this, this is golden, I think. You can't control every situation, but you can always control your attitude about that situation. Sometimes I don't practice what I preach, and I know when I go back to that, it makes my life better and easier, and hopefully others. I want to get out more. I want more people to view the show. I want to go to schools and corporate and other places, and I want to get out there and help as many people as possible. But if those people in turn can take some knowledge I might impart to them and then pay it forward, whether it traces back to me or not doesn't matter. The fact that it can spread its tentacles, as a teacher and educator, that's all I could dream of.
My man. As always, Marc Hoberman, you are awesome, bro. You are so awesome, man. And of course, I've always wished you the best, and I'll continue to wish you the best. We will be on a red carpet together one day.
And I'm holding it to that.
You know I will.
I don't care if it's a red carpet at Target. We just have to be on the red carpet. I am not picky. Don't worry about it.
It won't be by the exit doors. I'll catch you at the entrance.
As they kick us out. I've been thrown out better than you, but let's do it. Let's be thrown out together on the red carpet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for being on the show with me, Marc Hoberman. And yes, and this will be shared all over as far as for Hollywood to be able to see. But thank you so much, man, for your time. Much success. I love you a lot, okay?
Thanks for everything.
All right, see you soon.
Have a great one.
You too. All right, everybody, that was my man, Marc Hoberman. Yes, I hope you guys enjoyed yourself today. Thank you guys so much for actually commenting and also subscribing as far as to the Heart of Hollywood magazine on Facebook, as well as Heart of Hollywood Media on YouTube. So make sure you guys continue to tune in. Next week, we got my man from HMM Awards. His name is Brent Harvey. We're actually going to be doing a show, of course, for Halloween. So, of course, you might have to tune in to see exactly what I'm going to be wearing. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Once again, it's your boy, Rico No Suave, and I'll see you guys next week on the show. I'll see you guys later. Darling.